I got this shirt from someone doing a craft fair because I also do craft fairs. I make nerd jewelry. That's the best way to explain it. I make nerd jewelry and nerd stuff, but this was from somebody else. She custom made it for me because she only had like blues and greens and stuff, but my favorite color is pink. So she custom tie-dyed the shirt for me and then put Toad on it. So today's stories are tales from your... Why did I do that? Today's stories are tales from your server. I told y'all I can't control my hands. This is from Mysterious Coke 7850. This old man made me really uncomfortable. I'm not a server, but I'm a hostess at a restaurant, and it was my turn to be in the kitchen packing the to-go orders while my coworker was up front seating customers. This elderly man came in and placed a to-go order, and I wasn't busy at the moment, so I was standing up there to grab the receipt. He sees me and says, "You're the one taking my order?" And I said, "Yep." And he made some comment. The gist was that he was happy I was packing his food. A few minutes later, I was walking around the restaurant doing little tasks and chores. But every time I walked past him, he kept watching me. I walked past him and he made a comment on how cute it was that I was pigeon-toed. He said he can't stop watching because of how cute it is. That was only one of the things he did. He said, "Oh, I'm not great when it comes to the abbreviations that people use in text messages and when posting stuff online. So sometimes it takes me a moment to get what the person is saying." So he said something and I laughed along, and you know how sometimes when you're laughing and you just stick your hand out as you're walking away? Well, I did that and he grabbed my hand. Ew. And squeezed. Oh, double ew. I stayed in the kitchen after that, but I had to see him again to give him his food. I gave him his food and he asked my name. I gave it to him and he said, "Well, I know who I'm dreaming about tonight." And I know that it wasn't inappropriately touched or anything, and I'm really grateful I haven't had to experience that, but even so, this made me very uncomfortable. And yes, okay, dudes, stop doing that. It's gross. The girl is working and she's there to be polite to you, but not to feed into your little fantasy that you may be having her later or something like that. I wish we didn't even have to give out our names sometimes. The amount of sick jokes that I've had to endure from dudes, especially some of the older dudes who just feel like they can say what the heck ever they want to say. Stop doing that. It's gross. You make us feel icky and we don't like it. And you know what? We talk about you later and we make fun of you because that's the way that, well, at least I do, because that's the way I feel better after you made me feel so icky. I'm going to talk about you to the lowest level that I possibly can because it's gross. You're gross. Cut it out. Sorry I got so heated, but as you can see, I've had to deal with that. Okay? Next story. This one is by NoFix476. I yelled at a customer. Full disclosure, I am not a server, but the owner/general manager. Yesterday, a couple came in just before the dinner rush arrived. The woman was being difficult from the moment they arrived. They order food and the woman gets upset when it's all brought out at the same time. Apparently, she wanted the soup first, then the basket of fries and other appetizers they ordered. All right, that's not the end of the world. It had gotten busy, so we were able to use the food items to sell other tickets up at the moment. Then, approximately 20 minutes later, I brought out their remade appetizer and fries. Before I even had a chance to set the food down on the table, the woman was irritated. She insisted the food was not hot and had been sitting back there. I assured her that no, it had not. I watched and instructed the kitchen crew to remake the items. They are hot. Then she stuck her finger in the food and said, "See, it's not hot. It's warm, but it's not sizzling." Ma'am, I assure you those items were made moments ago for you. They are fresh. She insisted on having them remade, and that's when I lost it. I told her that if she wanted me to toss this perfectly good food and get another order, she will be paying for it. Then she asked where I get off thinking I could speak to her that way. She said she had a stressful day and was wanting to go out to eat and relax. My response was, well, I'm actually the owner. I don't care how stressful or difficult your day was. It does not give you the right to walk in here, be disrespectful to my staff, and then to me. We remade the food again. I dropped it off at the table and she barely ate any of it, but did thank me that it was hot. When the poor server swung by to ask how the appetizers were, I guess the woman told her he, the husband I guess, is acting like he is embarrassed of me, but he knows I'm right. Anyways, they did pay for it all like I told them they had to, and their server still got a 20% tip. I am now patiently waiting to see if she leaves a review. Well, getting to snap back at someone felt good, but it's not something I do often at all. Now, this one is just, if you're having a difficult day, don't take it out on somebody else. Don't take it out on somebody else, okay? Now, I understand that in restaurants, there are going to be some slip-ups, some things and stuff like that. But if you have a required order that you want your food to come out in, you know what's easy to do? Hey, can I have the appetizers and the soup first before the meal? That could have settled everything right there. Just asking a simple, polite question. That's it. I'm sorry, but these people get me when they're so entitled to being treated like they are the king and queen of whatever is going on in that place. Okay? But for her to be rude, condescending, and just nasty about it was uncalled for. And then the husband, that poor guy, okay? Stop being rude to customer service people. Stop being rude to your servers. Yes, you may be having a hard day, but you know what? They may be having a hard day as well. And to all the people who say, oh, the customer is always right, guess what? That whole phrase is, the customer is right in matters of taste and style. That's the whole phrase. The customer is right in matters of taste. Did your food taste good? Or style. Does what you're looking at look good? Okay? That does not mean you're always right and you should be treated like, God's gift to the planet because you decided to come into this establishment. Next story. I'm getting heated in this one. I'm sorry. This last one is from Viva Caligula 791. Language barriers at restaurants. Any helpful phrases to better communicate? The place where I work has no bilingual people working there, but I wish we would hire at least one person who knew Spanish. Instead, we mostly hire teenagers and hillbillies. But I don't see why, considering that the language barrier is a frequent occurrence that I can count on happening every couple of days. Now, personally, I don't understand why someone from, let's say, France would go to Japan and not know any Japanese, but I like to think of my workplace as a cool vibe, a break from the very real world outside, so I work with them the best that I can. Usually, they point at the menu and with some gestures, I can figure out what they want. However, sometimes it's more challenging and it's becoming an issue where non-English speakers will sit down with their families and not tip me. At times, it seems I will assume, that no one tips in their homelands, but I know better. this started bothering me so much that I just started learning some Spanish. Just a few phrases related to my performance as a server, just to ease the pressure off of them and to make them feel a little more comfortable. I fear that I could come off as cold and difficult to them if you don't speak my language. You may find my strong personality a little scary. So a nice couple came in, the language barrier becomes apparent, but we did okay. I gave them their food, their drinks, but this time I started dropping a cute amount of Spanish just to show them that they are welcomed. Tu bebes? If their drink was running low, or necesito más? If I wanted to know if they wanted anything else. They smiled at me, seemed to appreciate it, which is always a good sign. They got up to leave, paid for their food as usual. They head for the door without tipping me. However, I guess they liked me because they stopped, caught me, and gave me a few $5. A resounding success. Long story short, I'm really guessing how to use the Spanish language here, but would appreciate any helpful phrases or cultural context to help me better communicate with non-English speakers. And I wanted to end this video on this story just because I know I got so heated with the other two stories. I wanted to end it on something nice. So I think it's really sweet that this server is trying to connect with their customers, even though they're not required to, but they're trying to connect with their customers and make it a nicer experience for their non-English speaking customers. And learning, just a little bit of basics of Spanish. I ended up learning a few basic things in Spanish. I can pretty much understand quite a bit of it. I still have trouble with speaking some phrases and stuff like that. I am not Spanish. People assume that I am, but I am not. But the first time I decided that I was going to learn what Spanish was I was younger. There were a bunch of girls who kept saying something near me every time I was near them. And I was like, I wonder what they're saying. And the word that they were saying was chicletes. And I went to go look it up, could not find it in any Spanish to English dictionary. I'm old. The internet wasn't really a thing. The internet was a thing, but it wasn't widely available like it is now. But I'm not old. I'm just, elder millennial. Elder millennial. There you go. But it wasn't as widely available as it is now. So what I ended up doing was going to the Spanish teacher in my school and asking her what chicletes meant. And she was like, oh, that means chiclets. And I was like, what are chiclets? And she happened to have some gum in her pocket. And she was like, oh, they look like this. And I was like, well, why would they be calling me that? And she was like, oh, sweetheart, your teeth. And I was like, oh, that's harsh. So my very first interaction with learning what a Spanish word was because of my front teeth. And if anyone wants to know the story of how I got these chicletes, because they are not my teeth, but it's a wild ride. Just let me know in the comments and I'll tell it in the next couple of videos or so if I see it in the comments and someone wants to know what this what the story is behind my poor two front teeth. Actually all four of them, but still. So thanks for listening to my stories today. Thanks for listening to me rant, get all heated. Thanks for listening to me giggle. I appreciate anyone who has made it this far into the video. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Kelly. Like, comment, and subscribe, and